Welcome to Blinkers Off with your hosts, Jared Welch and Aaron Halterman.
Hello, what is up? I'm Jared Welch, he's Aaron Halterman. It is Thursday, April 9th, and this is Blinkers Off. This is an exciting one, Halterman. The title should get everyone excited because we're talking Kentucky Derby pace. What's up?
Yeah. Nothing gets me more excited than talking Kentucky Derby pace. I agree with you. Yeah, it's going to be good. I think I've been talking about the Derby a lot today with different folks. Samich, my dad, so two very kind of like-minded individuals and accomplishments of what they've done in the horse racing industry, and it definitely feels like people are getting very fired up for the Derby.
It feels like I know we probably say this every year, but this year feels like there are those the further ado, the Renegades, Commandments, but really there are several horses that people like, and I think kind of depends who you talk to. It's like I think people feel like it's going to be very top heavy. The other half look at it like, hey, this thing feels wide open to me. And that whenever you have that, no matter which way is right, we'll find out, right? But whichever, it creates a very exciting lead up to the Derby.
Yeah, it does. And it's definitely like get angry season if you don't agree with me.
Oh, yeah.
And
we're there, dude. We are there.
We're definitely there, and it's always funny. And like disagreement is amazing, but the anger is still like, wow, I can't believe you're so mad about it. But it definitely we're there, and I think you're right. It definitely feels like this year, like again, last year, it's like by the time the Derby actually got here, I was like, when they broke from the gate, I was like, it's going to be journalism or sovereignty. It's just a matter of who, and I chose the wrong horse. But this kind of doesn't feel like it's a 2 or 3 horse race this year. It feels like 5, 6, 7 horses have a chance to actually win it. And I think that makes it a lot of fun. Like I look at it and go, yeah, you could really talk me into a lot this year. Where last year it's like, yeah, I'm kind of just on journalism and you're not going to talk me off of them.
Shoddy, technically both are still in. McCarthy said today that basically was like, we're not going, but it hasn't necessarily been confirmed that he's not going. Class president still, he could be anywhere. He might be, I don't know. I would say extremely unlikely that Stark runs, and I'd say unlikely that the class president runs. So we're going to go over the pace analysis. I didn't even include Stark Contrast in any of it. Halterman told me not to include class president. I'm biased, so I included him. But I do not expect to see him running. I think we all can agree there, right?
0%.
The fact that they're naming jockey assignments and they're still he's still MIA. So I don't know why they
0%. Stark Contrast 5% is how I view it. Class presidents. David Grinning from the DRF said class president is closer to 0% than 1%. of making it, so he's not going to be in it. Stark Contrast, I think it's just a situation that's exactly like last year's turf horse. It's like the trainer definitely doesn't want to do it, and it's just more of a do the owners want to do it. And I think it's harder. I think that Stark Contrast it's a harder to say no because he's healthy and he's able. Class president, I don't think they have a choice.
He said he basically was like, I think he could win on Saturday, the first Saturday of May, but I don't think it's going to be the Derby. Yeah. It's kind of the way. That's what McCarthy said. So it's not like if they do run, it's not like you're like, oh yeah, that's great. So maybe from a pace standpoint, that's it. But I didn't see that with Grinning on class president. At least there is a pulse. I didn't even know. I thought he might be dead, class president. So I didn't even hear. I haven't heard a single word about him.
Yeah, it's with class president. I would be floored if he's in it. I would.
Like I said in the video that the top 10 I released yesterday or day before. I was like I said I hope they don't run him. Right, it makes no sense to run him at this point. Run him and I have no idea what's wrong with him. If he's fine, wait. Aim him for the Peter Pan, or I wouldn't be shocked if we don't see him again until the summer. So.
It just depends on what's wrong with it. If we have no information, and that information will eventually come out, I would imagine. But if it's something minor, I would try to go take a look at the Belmont kind of, but if it's something past that, it's like, yeah, he's done,
There you go. So Kevin says more likely to point to a summer campaign for class president, but wanted to confirm the same comment.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was a DRF pod with Argona, so chatting with Butcher. Yeah. So, I'd say that's a killer for us on the fantasy team as well, because he was actually decent. But Chief Wallaby's going to get in, Shotty. So I mean, it's assuming they run. Like I don't know. I haven't heard Milmont say that they're not running with that horse. So if class president is out and Stark is out, well, he's in. So
I think only one of them has to not be in.
Was it? I thought it was 2, but maybe
was it 2? It doesn't matter.
Poncho was ahead of him, but I could be wrong.
No, well, it doesn't matter because he's in. Chief Wallaby.
It doesn't matter. Yeah,
there is no as long as they want to run and he's healthy, he's in. He's gonna run. Yeah.
Yeah. So and listen, he's a player for sure. Getting in, and I never really was doubting that he would be, but yeah, I mean, listen, we'll talk let's get right into the pace here in a second. We usually use the opening of the show to talk a little bit about last weekend. Really, obviously I saw your comments on the wood in your like recap of the weekend. You're just like, no, pass, not going to talk about that. I agree. The Stancina Derby, you had So Happy and Potente. Those two obviously going to the Kentucky Derby. Cherokee Nation missed the break and was done. And then we got the Bluegrass. Further ado, he went from a horse that needs to step up to maybe the Derby favorite. Probably not now that Irad's choosing Renegade, but still very much so 1-2 choices you would think in the Kentucky Derby. Talk a little bit about Further Ado before we get into the pace analysis of the race.
I thought he did exactly what exactly what I thought he would do after the scratch of class president. I don't believe in Reagan's honor at all, and if you had that opinion going in, how could Further Ado lose the race? You had to be talking in Ottenho, and it's like, well, he could basically run the Tampa Bay Derby race where I thought he was good, not great, and win that race by a few lengths and be just fine. And he improved off of that race and ran huge and got the job done. So you got to give him a lot of credit for showing up and improving off that Tampa race. I think, I thought Irad would have a tough decision, to be quite honest. I'm not shocked. If I was a betting man, I thought he would be on Renegade, but I thought the decision would be pretty tough, and it seemingly wasn't. Seemingly right to Renegade immediately. So, I don't think that's a bad thing for Further Ado, though. I just think it's more of a positive for Renegade than it is a negative for Further Ado. But look, I thought he was really, really good. Did he beat anybody? No. Was it Keeneland again that he popped that big figure? Yes. So, go ahead and slam that points all you want, and that's fine. And I can't argue it. But for what it was, I thought it was really, really good effort.
Yeah, he ran a 106 buyer in the race, and clearly was the highest of the 3-year-old crop this season. And he was awesome. I mean, like, people criticizing that he didn't beat anybody always amazes me. It happens every time. And you're like, well, what do you want him to do? He beat them like they were a bad group. If he wins by a nose, if he wins by a length, you say, yeah, that's not as exciting. But he wins by the length of the stretch, basically. So, I loved it. The only concern I had with him, and we'll talk a little bit about it as we get into the next several weeks, is that he's been a little bit more, I don't even want to say Jekyll and Hyde, because his bad ones weren't terrible, but it's like he either pops huge or it's so. Whereas Renegade feels like he's coming into the race like, okay, that one's been a little bit better. That one's been even better. You know what I mean? Like, so he kind of feels like he's all or nothing, whereas Renegade feels like he's coming in like on the trajectory like.
That, I think that is 100% accurate. With Further Ado, I don't know. It was weird. Like he was not that good, and then he like blitzed us at Keeneland, talking about his 2-year-old when he won the maiden race. Like, whoa, that's way different than what we saw up at Saratoga from him. But it could have been the stretch out, and that makes sense. And you're right. Like, then he ran the race in the Kentucky Jockey Club that he won. But you kind of look at how hard pressed he was to win, and then what was behind him, and it's like he probably should have been a lot better than that. But hey, give him credit to win. He came back at Tampa, and it was like that was okay. It wasn't great, but it was okay. And then, whoa, he does it again at Keeneland. So it's like, is it a Keeneland thing? And is he just good everywhere else and great there?
Yeah.
Or is he kind of rounding into that form cycle of, okay, that was the second race off the layoff. You saw the big improvement. If we get a third race off the layoff, Kentucky Derby, will he continue to kind of run well? Or is he a Keeneland type? I don't know. I don't know that answer. I'll tell you this. There was nothing in that race to stop him at Keeneland. It was like, if he's going to fire, it's over.
Yeah.
And you look at the Tampa race and go, well, off the bench, that was pretty good because of what happened after the Tampa race with the Puma almost winning the Florida Derby. That's a lot better looking race than it was the day it actually happened.
Yeah, the timing is tricky because like you said, like it's hard to be like the way the timing of those races have gone. It's been hard to say like he only likes Keeneland, or it's like the way they've been. It's kind of like, well, it's the next, it's like he's making his next start. It's like the timing has made more sense than the track. So we really, and he wanted Churchill, so it's not like he hates Churchill Downs by any means either. So I think that's probably going to get overplayed, the track situation. I don't necessarily care about the track situation as much, although I do think it's clear he likes Keeneland. Mm-hmm. I think it's more just his numbers. If you look at basically any number, or especially like his thorows and things like that, like they've been, they're like really low or kind of mid, right? And whereas like I kind of like the form, the Puma's going in really good form coming into the race. Even like a horse like Potente is making the right form moves, although he maybe isn't as good, right? I think as those horses, but he's kind of going into the race one race better than the last race. So that's I like to look at that a little bit more, but who's to say that Further Due is just not just the best horse, right? Like, like I think we got to be careful just saying, hey, because of the form cycle, he's not very, or he's going to bounce in the Derby, which maybe he will, but he also could be just the best horse.
Yeah, like there's one comment here from Jim Hunter that says, is Further Due similar to Fierceness? I don't really think so. I don't think it's, because you got it with Fierceness. Let's just like compare for a second. If Fierceness took the same route and like say he burst on the scene and he won his maiden at Keeneland, like Further Due then did.
Yeah.
Fierceness next race when he would have went, let's say to the Kentucky Jockey Club at Churchill, he would have been like 8th. He wouldn't have won, right? He would have been like 8th, right? And then if you compare, like, okay, Fierceness, if he would have been in the Tampa Bay Derby, he would have been like 8th again. And then he would have, taken off and won at Churchill or at Keeneland. That's not Further Ado. The bad races that we're talking about, Further Ado, he won, and he finished second by what was that, like a half length through the Puma, right?
Yeah.
So his bad efforts are still
exactly
decent.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
His bad, if he runs a bad race in the Kentucky Derby, he still could get like 5th, right?
Yeah.
Where Fierceness was what, 17th?
Fierceness run 17th,
Right.
like,
so it's not as volatile.
Yeah, I agree with that completely.
Yeah.
The volatility of Fierceness was unlike anything ever, really.
Yeah, I don't think if you pick Further Ado, I don't think it's going to be an embarrassment in the Kentucky Derby. He may not run like he did in those 2 big races at Keeneland. I don't see him running 17th. He may run 7th, but not 17th.
I think you could say the same. That is the one interesting part about this year where it definitely feels like if you picked Commandment, if you picked, let's do the top 3, the Commandment, Renegade, and Further Ado. Like, I don't know that they've been so steady that I think they're all 3 would, like, I don't know that you're going to get, like, they're just not going to show up, Like, I could see Renegade getting 4th or 5th, right? If he has traffic, or I could see Commandment maybe just not quite having the punch late where he kind of, gets 4th. But I'd be really surprised, just because I do think it is a very top heavy from a talent perspective that we've seen so far. I'd be surprised if either one of those or any of those 3 just completely don't fire.
I would agree. I don't think if you pick one of those 3, I don't think you're going to, again, you could always get embarrassed, right? In the Derby, because it is that kind of race. And sometimes just weird things happen and you're like, that sucked. But overall, I do kind of think those 3 are going to show up and run okay, at least.
Yeah.
It also is setting up to be a derby where you're going to get mad at yourself because say you pick Commandment and he runs, third, fourth, fifth, you're going to go, well, why did I pick him? Flavian Pratt and Irad Ortiz didn't pick him. So why would I? Right. But then if he wins, you would go, well, why didn't I pick him? He won the Fountain of Youth in Florida Derby. Why would I not pick him? See what I'm saying? And then if you go with Further Ado and he runs great and you didn't pick him, let's say, we go, well, hell, he just ran a 106 buyer. Why didn't I pick him? But then if you do, you go, well, it wasn't Keeneland, so I knew he wouldn't run that well. So that every horse you can kind of go back and forth with, and that kind of does make for, man, if you miss it, you're going to be frustrated. Where last year when I picked Journalism and I missed it, I really wasn't frustrated because it's like, yeah, I thought he ran kind of like I thought, and he just got beat.
Yeah, he ran. Yeah, exactly. He ran great. Yeah. All right, let's get into the show, guys. We'll talk about the pace. Tons to talk about. Again, it's fun to talk about the pace, and obviously we don't have post positions. People email us every year this time of the year, being like, "Hey, where's the picks?" You're like, "Well, we don't know the field yet." But we're getting there. But this is a fun time of the year to be talking about the pace now that we know for the most part who's in. I think I listed out maybe like 22 to 23 horses. Just based on, the top, there and see who's in, but we'll see, some of those may change. So we're going to look at the race, how it might unfold, whose styles might be benefited most, whose styles might be hurt the most, some strategies on that and how it might impact your betting. Then we're going to look for this weekend, by the way, just not Derby related, is freaking amazing. This weekend racing is great at Keeneland and Oaklawn. We got the Maker's Mark Mile tomorrow and Friday. Of course, we've got the Lexington. And then we got the Apple Blossom at Oaklawn Park. So big weekend of racing. We'll get into those picks coming up after the Derby pace analysis. Let's go. Yeah, it's that time of the year, Alterman. It is like where you just are kind of like sitting on, like you're waiting. And so it's just like you just create all the different scenarios, all the different things. And it becomes like if you're not careful, it becomes like you just get down this rabbit hole of decisions and thoughts that you didn't have a week ago,
Yeah, 100%. And I think these are the type of years that are kind of stressful versus whether you're right or wrong. Like, if the years of the lead up with Faro or Nyquist or Justify or California Chrome, or like I said, last year with me, Journalism, I didn't have a lot of stress because it's like, well, I know the pick.
Yeah.
But if you win or you lose, it's like, well, I know who I'm picking. It's like this coming year where you're like, oh gosh, if I pick this horse, I'm going to be so mad if this horse wins type of thing. And that's what makes it stressful. And also kind of what makes it fun, like, because post position draw coming up, it truly, like, it always matters a lot, but like it truly may make the difference in a pick of
for real
pick,
Yeah. Even if it means like who, you're on the fence between, Commandment and Chief Wallaby or whatever. Chief Wallaby draws the one. You're like, all right, never mind, you know? So even those underneath horses are critical because in a field that other than those top couple, it feels like, and even if you want to conclude them, like where it could go a lot of different ways, post positions may matter, as much as any year in recent years. Shoddy, I just want to address this real quick before we move on. I did see a press release today. She asked about the Oaklawn Handicap. They mentioned for sure, or at least probable on Sovereignty. No mention of Journalism, so I don't know that he's coming. So, but you are going to get Sovereignty at least.
I don't think Sovereignty versus Journalism at Oaklawn was ever a reality that anybody should have bought.
No, but you get to see. Hopefully, you get to see Sovereignty in a exhibition maybe. But should be fun.
I don't know who else will be there because Magnitude obviously won't, because he was at Oaklawn, but he went over to Dubai. So I don't know.
Let me pull up the press release real quick. I think there was there was a couple mentioned, but let's see. Entries will be accepted on Sunday. Other horses expected to enter include Wida Barrio, Liberal Arts. That's it. I mean, that's the only ones they've got mentioned. So
okay. Okay.
Liberal Arts versus Wida Barrio versus Sovereignty.
Uh-huh.
in a 3-way race.
Okay. So they're going to have 5.
Yeah.
Probably 5 or 6.
Yeah.
They'll find somebody back there. Like Asmussen will throw something in there probably. And yeah,
it won't be a large. It'll be just a walkover probably. Let's be honest.
Yes.
All right, guys. Kentucky Derby 152 is shaping up here to be unbelievable, really. And as far as the pace goes, I mean, it's critical every year. This year feels as important as ever, just because of kind of the, a lot of these horses do seem to be very similar. And I do think the pace will be a big player in here. I think it's interesting, Halterman, before we get into it, I was going over the stats and kind of coming up with some trends and things of that nature. There for a while from 2014, and I'll bring up the pace right here because this is a good segue into the speed. From 2014 to 2021, it was all speed all day in the Derby. That's all you wanted. I mean, look, Chrome, and I went through and I'm like, the furthest back this horse was in the race. This is what this means. Chrome was third. Pharaoh was third, but they were very close, right? Nyquist was third. Always Dreaming was second, barely, and then first for most of the way. Justify was second for a little bit. Maximum Security, although he didn't win, but he finished first. So he was first all the way around.
Yeah.
Authentic, first. Medina Spirit, first. And then it went haywire. After that, we went Rich Strike 18th. We went Mage 16th. We went Mystic Dan. Now it was a little bit more of the normal 6th. And then Sovereignty last year was 17th. As the furthest back these horses were in the race. Now, obviously, a lot of them made moves. Sovereignty made a big middle move to get in position to win the race. That's critical. But we look at here at the speed analysis, we have 6 speed and Pavlovian listed, and that's the only 2 kind of that feel like real speed. It doesn't seem like we have that as much anymore, where you have that true speed horse that can get the job done.
Yeah, and just to be clear for everybody watching, this is the horses that, no question, they're going to the front, right? It's like that's the only thing they're really going to do. That's the only card they have to play. And yeah, I agree with the list. I think it's 6 speed. I think it's Pavlovian. I know 6 speed is a horse that, coming over from Dubai, it's like, yeah, okay, what if he didn't get out of the gate? You know what I mean? Like, a lot of those horses don't. And so can he get out there? That's the big question. And does that speed translate over here? Sometimes it absolutely does not. So that'll be an interesting storyline as well. So is it Pavlovian and then who we're going to talk about next in the next group? I don't know.
Yeah, I think 6 speed's got real speed. It's just a matter if he gets out of the gate. I don't think I think he could be a factor from a pace standpoint. But like you said, if he doesn't break and all of a sudden, Pavlovian ends up on the lead, or it's a bad break and all of a sudden we go right to the stalkers, and someone like Patente or something that happened, Patente, let's say, to go there, broke. Same thing happened in the Santini Derby. Didn't want to be on the lead. Next thing you know, gets out of the gate. He's on the lead. And what do you do from there? So, then you have horses like Wonder Dean, like that you never know, right? They come over. They could flash out of the gate if that happens. So this is, again, these are the, going through the past performances, going through the replays, horses that we feel like are going to be in that stocky, or let's put it this way, that their best run has been in this position.
Yeah, so if you go through them, so Further Ado is a horse I think can press if it's slow, right? I mean, he'll be up there. Dan and Bourbon's a total wild card. I think we learned that Patente can be that pace horse if there's nothing else there, but you
don't want him to be. Yeah.
No, he wants to probably sit in. Yeah, he wants to sit 3rd, 4th, 5th, something like that. So Happy probably wants to sit even a little bit further back than that. There's no chance of Emerging Markets on the lead. He'll be more of the, maybe the first horse in the second flight, right? Chief Wallaby, no interest in being on the lead. Wonder Dean, a wild card. I do think Chip Honcho's one that'll go. I think they'll send him. So maybe you could put him into that speed category and make it 3 speed horses. But I'll tell you this, if you go back and watch that horse's replays, he's not that fast. So, I mean, let's say that he's on the lead and they're running 46. That's about 2 seconds faster than he really wants to go. Yeah. He's going to have to be ridden to do that.
he'll be hitting horses on the way back if he goes that fast, I feel like.
Absolutely.
I think with Further Ado, he's obviously, the most versatile out of this group. We still think, with Emerging Market and Chief Wallaby, they could be. They're just so lightly raced. It's hard to even know for sure what they want to do best. And then with a horse like Patente, I think it's very clear if you go back and look at his races, like he does not want to be on the lead. He's more of a grind. I could almost put him in the grinders category, to be honest. But based on those couple of performances, it's like him on the lead. You're like, man, you know what? I got to put him closer up, just because the way he's been running. But I do think he's more of the grinder type where give him a target and just kind of slowly, he's going to keep coming. Like a lot of people said, I don't know if he wants to go that far. I don't think that's an issue. I don't think he wanted to be pressed on the lead the whole way around the track was the biggest, issue for him. So do I think he's good enough? Not really. But I do think his better run is a stalker type grinder position.
Yeah, he definitely. I agree with the kind of the assessment of he's really building up to something versus bam, there's something crazy that's awesome, and then now we may bounce, and then maybe we'll get back to that, or maybe we won't. He's been very on an increase that's very nice and very logical, which is important. So yeah, you wish he would have put up a little bit more of a fight in the Santa Anita Derby. That's kind of my thing. It's like once So Happy got to him, it's like, he's not going to have any chance here. And so that's kind of my problem. I just don't know that he's good enough. Honestly, like if he skipped, and he's not going to do this, but say he skipped the Derby and he would just waited for horses for the Preakness, he might look pretty good in like that kind of spot, that kind of race right now.
Yeah.
But no, I really don't think they'll want to push the pace with him unless he draws the rail, then obviously I think he kind of got to go at that point.
And he's another one of those that just, he only was making his third start in that race, and he's still very lightly raced. And same with, that's the theme of a lot of these stalkers, right? Emerging Market, Chief Wallaby, Patente, all horses that, Patente didn't win, Chief Wallaby didn't win, Emerging Market won, but all three they're kind of it feels like they're working their way to being better than the last race. And I mean, they all have a lot of talent. So like, would it be so shocking to see one of those three get up there and get a piece? Not really. So especially with like Emerging Market and Chief Emerging Market for sure, right? Because he's like, we don't know what he is. Like his issue of the race isn't talent. It's his third start. And that's just really hard to do.
It's his third start. And it's also, I'm still skeptical that he's talented enough anyway at this point in his career. I am. But I do think the biggest problem is the lack of the lack of racing. But the one thing I know for sure is he will sit 8th, 9th, 10th in this race.
Yeah. It's gonna be so fascinating. I think Scurvy said he liked. That's the thing. I've seen a lot of different opinions. I think I left the race kind of disappointed, but also you're like, yeah, I mean, Patente was fairly impressive. Again, though, it's just I just keep going back to it's not like that race was. I don't know. I don't really like So Happy that much either. So that's my thing with that race. Like I agree, and especially Robusta, like it's a lot, right? For a third start, getting pressed on the inside, taking all the heat on the lead, and then putting that horse away and then taking on So Happy. That's great, right? But I just don't know that, like, I don't know. Like, I'm with you. I'm like, I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of a fight there. I don't know how good So Happy is. Well, maybe we're wrong. Maybe So Happy is a really good horse and wants to go this distance and we'll go look back and say, wow, that was a really good performance by Patente. But I think he's going on the right path. I just don't know it's going to be good enough on the first Saturday in May.
No, and I mean, it's Bob Baffert outside of California on top of that. And that's just hasn't been good lately at all. So that's another factor. I mean, you have to factor it in. And I don't even think it's Bob Baffert as much as, man, like the California circuit just seems weak in general. So,
yeah.
I mean, look, you were mad right after the race. I was like, he ran about as good as I thought he could run. I just didn't think So Happy would run as well as he did in that race. So
You know, Baffert was pissed. Like, I mean, he probably knew in the back of his mind Cherokee Nation was 50-50 to get out of the gate. But he's like, son of a bitch. Not only did that horse screw it up, now he screwed up the other horse because he didn't break. So yeah, that was not ideal. Let's do this. But as we go through it, you've got to give me. Let's go back to this one. You've got to give me one horse out of these that has the best potential to, say, finish in the Super.
Pavlovian.
Okay, and I'm not gonna. You can't do further ado. That's easy. But like, give me the other. Is it Chief Wallaby for you here?
Yeah, Cheap Wallaby.
Okay. All right. Let's get to the next group here, which is the Grinders. This is a little different than the Stalker. A Stalker is a horse that I view as like he's kind of sitting off the pace, and then boom, here we go. He's waited for his time. Now he's the gun's going. Whereas a Grinder is like they're never really out of the race. They're never too far back, but they're always right there. And just the more the race goes, the closer they get. That's more of a Grinder. Class president here, Halterman says no. We're going to throw him out, but that is kind of his style. Commandment, though, that's huge. And then the Puma as well. 2 horses are coming out of the Florida Derby. Your winner and damn near winner. Atano, Iron Honor, I don't really take a lot of consideration in there. And then Silent Tactic, that was a horse I had as a closer. You and I talked about it. It's like this horse could go. It's kind of like Patente. It's like I don't know that he's a grinder, but he's been running like one lately. I almost feel like he should be a dead closer.
Yeah,
but the way he's been running, it's kind of in that grinding category.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you got to put him in more in the grinders versus the deep closers for sure. Yeah, this is a good group here, right? With Commandment, Puma, Silent Tactic right there. And I don't know if Ottenho and Iron Honor will be running either. I think they're questionable, but certainly a chance. But yeah, this is probably the group you want to be in. Can a horse, like a Renegade, get there and be a little bit more forwardly placed like he has in the past versus what he was in the Arkansas Derby? Yeah, I don't know. But I think this is kind of where you want to be. I think this is the spot with how the pace is going to set up. I don't know that you want to be way, way far behind. I think this is the spot you want to be.
Yes, Reese. I'm going to go through some of these comments before we keep going. Yes, this is being streamed live right now on all social platforms. It will also be watchable on YouTube after the fact. It's also on the website at racingdudes.com. Robert, yeah, we still it would make sense that the closers we'd wait to get to the closers. So yeah, spoiler alert, he's probably going to be listed there. Yeah. But we'll get to that next. And lastly, before we continue, the betting Bible for the Kentucky Derby and Kentucky Oaks should be available here in the next hour or so, at least the pre-sale of that. So get ready for that. It's going to include everything. We're adding some trends this year as well. Kind of if you're used to the Breeders' Cup betting Bibles, we have that this year where it's different things like post position trends like I mentioned earlier with horses winning from off the pace lately, things like that might help a little bit, as well as obviously the picks analysis, pace strategy, all that good stuff, all with the betting Bible. So that will be available soon at racingdudes.com. If you haven't tried it out yet, I highly encourage you to do so. All right. What are you doing with Silent Tactic? Because this is a horse that I feel like is, by the way, Pedlo, well, Jared, I don't think that was awesome. Remember that, dude? You were doing a live show during that with Veasan, and I got on there drunk, and God, what did it have? Like 10,000, 20,000 people live?
Yeah. I think I'm going to join you. I think we're both going to be drunk this year.
We should do that, right?
Yeah. Yep. I'm in.
Okay. It was I don't even it was Pedlo. I don't know if I killed it. It just was happening. It was happening live. There was zero plans.
Yeah.
Halterman, like I said, I was at his house in the basement watching it. We had to watch it separately because he was on air, and I was like, he's doing something. I'm going to do something.
Yeah, I didn't really like doing that last year, so I'm not going to do it this year.
Hey, join me, buddy. It's fun.
Yeah.
So, although we I have to hire one of these goons on our live here to be like the constant. We're not showing the race. That's what they kept getting. Which is, let's be honest, that's probably why we got all the views. But hey, listen, come drink with us. let's just make it a plan, guys. We will be live streaming immediately following the Kentucky Derby to go through all our analysis. We'll be drinking all day anyways. We'll continue drinking, and we'll just kind of dive into whatever happens. So put it on your calendar right after the Derby.
We'll stream during it too.
Well, yeah, but okay, we'll do like right as soon as they go.
No, like didn't you get on like 30 minutes before last year? I think that's.
I don't remember. I thought I did. Maybe I did.
You were on before. You were on 45 minutes.
See, I was drunk. Who knows?
Yeah.
Right. And then I drank more, and then we went out, and it got a little rowdy that night. I remember, but we were very happy. It was a good result for us. So it was a fun celebration. Like that's the thing. Like not to get into. I know you guys want to get back to this, but we put so much work. We do it every day. I mean, but for the Derby, I mean, it's such a grind to go through all of it and handicap and get the products out and the shows and the content and the podcasts. And just by the time you get to the race, it's like you don't even really you do care, but you're like, I'm just so glad I can sit down and enjoy this race and not have to do something with it. And so it's like almost it's like this release, and then you start drinking, and then the rest is history. So we'll be looking forward to it. So Silent Tactic, back to Silent Tactic. This is a horse that is so interesting to me because his style, he's always like, he might be the most dependable horse in the race. Like he's always going to show up. Is he good enough? That seems to be the real question. His performances where he came from well off of it were the ones that he won, whereas the ones where he looked like he's going to win, it looked like, oh my gosh, the style's great. He's kind of up there closer. He couldn't quite get the job done on Class President. He got completely ran by. I don't think it really mattered against Renegade. Point is, do you think that the tactic needs to be not sitting like he has been the last, AKA being in the lead or close to the lead at the top of the stretch, instead being like 8th place at the top of the stretch?
No, I think drop back, make one run, and pray some of the other horses that are better than you don't get the trips, and you do, then you can win. Like that's the Derby in a nutshell. I think a horse like Silent Tactic, I know a lot of people are going to be like, yeah, he's going to hit the board. I think there is a world he wins, but we've kind of seen it. He's going to, like, Renegade isn't going to have to get through. And, I would probably say Commandment, the Puma, those horses can't get through. One of those horses get a bad post draw, Further Ado gets a bad post, whatever. A few bad luck things happen because Silent Tactic will make a run, right? It's all things being equal. He's probably like 6th in this race. But if he can work out a trip, maybe he can hit the board. Maybe he could get all the way up. I mean, it's not out of the question. The problem with him is he's kind of shown you, all things being equal, he's not good enough.
It feels more like the case of like, can he win? Yes. Can he win when everyone else runs their best? No. So it's like he needs the trip. He needs the others to not get the trip, that kind of thing. Like, he's certainly capable, right? Because he's got the quality. He's got the seasoning. Gosh, he ran the whole series at Oaklawn. He's got a great trainer, the whole thing, right? But it's just, even after the race, he was like, Cassie joked around like with Renegade, like, don't come to the Derby, please. He knows.
I think it's tough when a horse has run its best race. And I think that was Silent Tactic, at least for the point where he's at right now, right? And he kind of gets the doors blown off of him. Well, it's tough to kind of come back with him again, right? And that was just a race, and really the Rebel as well, where it's like there's really no excuse. You can kind of make up something, but he just kind of ran like you thought he would, and he got beat. So those are the ones that are hard to come back with.
Here's the thing. When he won when he got second in the Smarty, he never looked like a winner. When he won the Southwest, he didn't at first. And then as soon as you saw him get going, you're like, yeah, he's going to win. Yeah. And then the last two, for half a second in the last one, you're like, he's going to win. Right. Yeah. He's like, look at him. He's geared like there's no way. Like he looks like a beast. And then all of a sudden he couldn't quite. Again, Renegade's a different story, but the Class President one for sure, where you're just like, gosh, he did everything but win, and that's the other thing that kind of sucks. We don't really know what class president was or is because we didn't get to see him again. And so there's that as well. That's a great finishing position over under, Kevin. 5.5. I think that's so spot on with him. It's really close.
I would tend to lean under, but that's where the line should be for sure. And listen, you mentioned he lost to Smarty Jones. Well, that was very explainable. A paceless race. He was a closer, a little bit shorter than he probably wants to go. It is what it is. You don't have those excuses in the last two. It's just kind of, he ran really well and got beat, but I like his consistency. I like his conditioning. I like the fact that he can run in all these races. I wish every horse was like him and would run in all the preps like that. But again, I just don't know that he's good enough.
I want to put this out there because I don't know if I'm sure I'm not the only one, but like with the Puma, like, I talked a little bit about this the other day. It's like, I love the Puma. I really do. And even before I can't remember, I think it was before the Florida Derby, it's like he's going to win, or maybe the Tampa Bay Derby. He's like, he's going to win one eventually because he's got the talent. You can tell. The thing with him is like, do I put too much? Because I remember Mage. We all remember Mage, right? And I think you kind of want to go into it being like, "Gosh, it's just like him," like he almost won the Florida Derby and he just didn't get the job done. But then look what happened in the Kentucky Derby, and I don't want to be like, I'm afraid I'm being too well, if Mage did it, he'll do it, right? And I don't know. I'm so on the fence with the Puma.
I mean, it's two different horses. I think that's the thing we gotta realize, number one. And I mean, if you're gonna say that about the Puma, shouldn't you say it about Chief Wallaby too? Kind of the same situation, right? Well, if Sovereignty could do it, why can't Chief Wallaby? Again, they're different horses, and I think that's the biggest thing. Honestly, I like the Puma a hell of a lot more going into the Kentucky Derby than I did Mage. And I think the Puma is a better horse than Mage. And I think he will prove it on the track after the Derby. But I can't just say, well, Mage did it, so now we're gonna have the Puma do it. I don't think it's that easy.
I also think it's very unfair and this is the reality, right? But I've seen a lot of people being like, they don't even they're like, Chief Wallaby, like, he's just not ready. He can't do it, like, whatever. But the Puma is right there, and it's like, well, that the Puma wins the Tampa Bay Derby, great, but Chief Wallaby loses to Commandment, who's going to be the second, third choice of the Derby by nose, and then runs right there with the other horse, with Commandment and the Puma in the Florida Derby. He's done nothing but run well in those two big starts, but yet it's like, he can't win. And then it's but the Puma, I don't know. I think the value will be on Chief Wallaby. When you want to compare those two horses specifically, I think the value definitely resides more towards Chief Wallaby than it would the Puma, in my mind.
I don't, and again, I never will discredit anybody that cashed a ticket on Mage. It was a hell of a pick. It took guts to pick him. That was a very fluky effort from him. He never had ran like that before, and he never ran like that again. And I don't think the Puma's a fluke if he wins. I think he legitimately is better than Mage. And even if he runs third or whatever in the Derby, I think he has a lot more big races with his name on it than Mage ever did. So I do think the Puma's I just think he's better than Mage. I really do. But that being said, I just think everything that had to go right went right for Mage. He got a great trip and he ran his eyeballs out. I mean, he ran so amazing in that race, and you just got to give the trainer a ton of credit for getting him ready for that big day like he did. But when you look at what he did after, that's a shaky Derby winner. But when it comes to the Puma, like I said, I don't view him like Mage because I think he's a hell of a lot better than Mage.
What's funny about when Mage won, it's like, and Samich will be the first to tell you, and anybody that picked him was like, great, but there's no world where you're like, I think he's gonna be further back than who is the Tabatrice. I think he's going to win. You know, it's going to weave around courses inside. You know what I mean? Like that wasn't the reason you wanted to pick him. Like credit goes to credit go. You know where it goes because of the picking him. But to your point, it was very fluky because we hadn't seen that kind of style. It's like when you break and you see like, oh shit, why is he so far back? And definitely did not see that coming based off of that running style.
No, Samich picked him because he thought he'd be in the top part of the second flight of horses, which made sense that year.
Yeah, I mean, it did.
And he was, like I said, he was towards the back. But what happened in that race is him and Angel of Empire were closing, and Mage beat Angel of Empire to every single opening. If you will go back and watch that race, they follow each other. And Mage just beats him to every single hole. And so Mage ends up getting to 2 fills where Angel of Empire finishes 3rd in that race. So, I mean, but again, I don't want to sit here and dog on that horse because I still go back and watch that sometimes and go, holy hell, he was unbelievable that day. Unfreaking real. So give him all the credit in the world, but he never could replicate that. And he never did that before either.
Let's all right. So let's say class president is out. Commandment, that's kind of easy. Let's just do it this way: the Puma or Silent Tactic, better chance of finishing top 4 out of this list.
The Puma.
The Puma. All right. Let's go to everybody's favorite category. Right? Maybe not maybe the Kentucky Derby favorite in this category as well, but also just that fun kind of late closing coming from the clouds. The closing category. And again, like I mentioned in the opening, the last, 3 of the last 4 winners of the Kentucky Derby, Sovereignty, Mage, and Rich Strike, all came from 16th, 17th, 18th place. And so we've seen it as of recent. We've seen it. Renegade, Full Effort, Golden Tempo, Albus, Right to Party, and there he is, Incredible. These are the horses that just are gonna, they're gonna. Some of them are going to live and die by the pace, and some of them are going to require the right trip, the right everything because of just their running style being further back.
Yeah, so look, we're going to have to hope that there's some speed if you want to bet Renegade or anybody else on this. You're going to have to hope there's a little bit more speed and it develops because, look, if they go 47 to the half, it's going to be tough for these horses to win. So you need 46 and change or faster, obviously. I think if you're going to pick Renegade, that's the stress. Can he work out a trip from the back? And I think that's going to be the key with all of them. The year the pace fell apart, Rich Strike got the trip and won the race, and some of those other closers, they just didn't get that type of trip, and they didn't get through, or they had to go really wide and they got beat. And that could happen with anybody coming from the back. You got to have some luck. There's no doubt about that. Big fan of Renegade. Love that Irad gets aboard. That's for sure. But yeah, the pace is going to be very key for these horses.
When I look at a lot of these, they definitely feel like the not to compare to Rich Strike, but or even Mind That Bird, like where it's like just a steady drive, the whole turn into the stretch, like they're constantly. Whereas you go back and you look at, like, say, Sovereignty, and as far back as he got himself into position when they turned into the turn in the he was in 4th and then hit the stretch and he's in 1st place, like, so he got himself in a position to where he was that far back early, which is probably going to happen with Renegade. But the biggest part of that race isn't going to be the stretch for Renegade. It's going to be, can Irad get him in a position to where he can make the stretch run, right? Because he definitely feels like a horse that distance-wise is no issue. He's just going to keep on coming. But is he going to be like a Mo Donegal where there's so much trouble, and then we go back and we say, my gosh, like, look at if he would have had this and this happened, bet him in the Belmont, whatever. Or is he going to get the Sovereignty trip and be kind of, showcase his class? It feels like it's going to be a little bit like, last year where you're going to have Renegade and you would assume, have right there with him, whether it be Further Ado or Commandment, and, going to see which one can, outkick the other. Yeah,
it's what it feels like for sure. And I think your point is spot on. You've got to make up ground on the turn. You just have to. It is so hard to pass them all in the stretch there at Churchill. And So can he kind of get into that position to where when he's turning for home, and that goes for any of these, can they only have to pass 4 or 5 of them versus 18 of them? That's going to be the big key to this thing. And I think Renegade's a pretty agile horse. You go back and watch Sam F. Davis. He started picking them off on the turn there. He picked off a few on the turn at Oaklawn and then went and gobbled up the rest. So, I think that's going to be the big key. But you got to get clear, and you hope you're not out there on the parking lot when you do it, right? You gotta have some luck, and that's just the racing luck that you're just going to have to pray that you get if you're betting anybody out of this group.
Yeah. This group is interesting. There's always, Renegade's obviously going to be, I would think, the favorite. If we'll see how the betting gets done, but morning line favorite because of, I think the IRAD will be enough to put him at least as the favorite, and so that makes sense. But then after that, you're kind of, some of these horses are those fun horses, the ones that everyone thinks back in Mind That Bird and the Rich Strikes, like who's that horse? Is it Full Effort or is it Golden Tempo, who just seems like he comes from a mile out of it? Incredible, it's going to be overbet. I think that's pretty clear, and I don't mean to be like shit on him, but I just think based on the comments I've seen and what I think about him versus I think he's going to be, they're going to see the number, they're going to see his late closing numbers. That number, the Colonial Downs, we saw it last year too. I think he's going to be overbet in the race.
Yeah, I think this is a carbon copy of what we saw last year out of the Virginia Derby, where everybody, thought that winner was going to be amazing, and really American Promise, the horse's name, and really got bet down tremendously hard and didn't do much. Incredible's better than him. Incredible is a lot better than him. I will say that, but yeah, Papa Dude and I were talking about wise guy horses, and who we were trying to predict who will be the wise guy horse that takes too much money and gets too much talk for his actual chances of winning. And Incredible was the one that just jumped off the screen. We're like, yeah, he's not bad. I would not be shocked if he's running down the stretch with at least a chance. But he probably should be about 20. Well, I would probably say 20, 25, 30 to 1. If he's below that, that's probably not a horse you want to take a lot of stock in, because I don't think he's got a great chance at all. But if you're like, hey, he closes hard, I see a lot of pace, if we could get 20, 30 to 1, take a swing. I wouldn't tell you not to. If he's 12 to 1 though, or something like that, it's just like, I don't think it's worth it. Cause I just don't, I think he's got to have too many things go right.
What about what are you doing with Full Effort? That's a horse that isn't getting a ton of talk based off of, he's like the third horse of the barn, and he's kind of, you got that, the synthetic form, and but he, Final Gambit had a lot of that as well, and rounded up there to hit the board, or he got fourth. What do you think of Full Effort? Do you think he could get a piece of this?
I think he's a much, I'll say it again, much better horse than Final Gambit. And I don't think it's close. Final Gambit got very, very lucky and got a great pace and got fourth. I think if Full Effort gets worse than fourth, it doesn't mean he's worse than Final Gambit. I just think it means he didn't get kind of the luck that Final Gambit got. But I think this is a really, really good horse. I really like Full Effort. I just don't think this is the race where we're going to see him. I think he's bottom of the tries and supers. I think that's fine to actually win. I don't think he'll get there. I don't think he's better than Two Phils, by the way, Carr. No, I don't. I think Two Phils was a serious threat. Yeah. I think this horse is just because the thing about Two Phils, you'd seen him on the dirt. He'd been on the dirt. I think the breeding tells you with Full Effort he should handle it, but there's a reason why he hasn't been on it. Okay. If you're in the Brad Cox barn and you've got a dirt pedigree, you're going to the dirt if they think you can run on it. And I don't want to hear anything, any excuse. That's what it is. Now, could he get on there and run okay? Maybe, but I don't see it.
So let's say, who do you think? I'm trying to think of the kind of sort of serious closers out of that. Let's say, I guess the two on the right. the Puma, Silent Tactic, Full Effort, and Incredible. There's 4 horses there, just kind of that are kind of highly regarded in some sense. Who's closing the best out of those 4? Like, who do you think is going to be like make a serious like? Who do you like the most out of those 4?
Oh boy. So what were okay? So
Silent Tactic, the Puma out of the grinders, and Incredible and Full Effort out of the closers.
Whew. Oh man.
I know it's very tough because they're very similar, similar styles on those, categories. And it's hard to.
I think the Puma.
All right. Yeah. I mean, I think that's probably right.
Full Effort, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's going to be the price on Full Effort is going to be interesting because if I could get on board with Full Effort if he's a huge price.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And again, like we got to see post positions. There's so many things that are going to change. Again, as we look at this, here is a kind of analysis after we've gone through all of them. The speed, we got 6 Speed and Pavlovian, Stalkers, Further Ado, Dan and Bourbon, Patente, So Happy, Emerging Market, Chief Wallaby, Wonder Dean, and Chip Honcho. Grinders, Class President, Commandment, the Puma, Otano, Iron Honor, Silent Tactic, Renegade, Full Effort, Golden Tempo, Albus, Right to Party, and Incredible as your closers. So it's a quick look at it there. I really, this thing seems like it's going to come down. I almost don't think we're going to overthink it a little bit. And it's like at the end of the day, it's going to be a lot like last year where those 2 horses kind of emerge, as clearly the top 2.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, look, I think right now, and thankfully, like we have a lot of time, and things can definitely change with one scratch or whatever. But it certainly right now it feels a little pick your poison-ish, and there's too many poisons out there, right? Because if you're between 5, well, only one of those can win. Renegade, you're going to be stressed leading up to it. You just are. Because of the trip. Chief Wallaby, can he grow up? If he can, he might be the horse. Like, I think it's more mental with him. Commandment, can he overcome losing 2 jockeys? But guess what? He's got Luis Saez. He's won the Derby before. So, it's not that bad. Further Ado, he gets Johnny V aboard. Can he not bounce? I don't know. And then the Puma, can he do it? And with a lot of public money on his back, I'm guessing, for the Puma.
Yeah, he's going to get that. Just the name alone is going to get a ton of play. Such a good name play. I agree. Brian, Pratt's on Emerging Market. So there's, that's confirmed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the jockey assignments are starting to kind of take place at this point. And, if you mentioned it, Renegade has got Irad got to choose, we assume, right between him and Further Ado gets Johnny V. So not exactly a bad move there as well. But, I think that means something. And I think it's going to be taken into account with the morning line, how people bet that. Do they want to bet, because the thing is, like, Renegade happened a little bit ago. Further Ado is like that lasting impression. He won by a ton. He got the highest buyer. There's a lot to like about that performance. He could get a lot of play, even though he may not be the morning line favorite. Do you think this is kind of similar? I mean, because last year people forget Sovereignty was 8-1, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's not going to be the case. I mean, as far as like these horses, like the 8-1 surely could win. But my point being, like, journalism was he like 3-1, 4-1?
Yeah, he was something like that. Yeah.
And so it's like it's not going to be double the price. It's going to be more like Renegades, 4-1. Further Ado 7-2 or vice versa, somewhere in that ballpark, I would assume, right? And then Commandment, I mean, all we did is dismiss him in the Florida Derby and he won. I mean, talk about the horse that gets no love.
Yeah.
What if he goes and does it again?
Yeah. I think he's going to be like 6-1, 5-1. That's why I keep going back and forth, because a part of me is like, well, just take Commandment at that price. Why? I mean, that makes sense. And I think Chief Wallaby will probably be similar to where Sovereignty was. I would say 8-10-1.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
At least, I mean, I think, you might get 10-1.
Yeah.
Who's as you look at, who's the horse that you really have no idea right now. Like you're just so confused with a certain horse, or you just like could run fifth or could run second, could win, could also never be seen in the race. Like you just
so happy for sure. Emerging market, I think, you just don't know how mature he is and can he actually do it when they get 20 horses around him or 19 around him. I think so happy emerging market or two that I'm not quite sure what exactly to do with. Everybody else, I feel like I've got a pretty good gauge on who they are.
I would say for me, I mean, listen, having a gauge on who they are and what they could do, I think for me are two different things.
True.
Like a horse like Patente, I'm struggling with because I could see that horse finishing like third or fourth. I also could see that horse running. What did Tabu run? Like 8 or no? Gosh, like 12th or worse.
Yeah.
I could see it being that way too.
You're going to hate this comment, but I can't help it. It's true. Drop him off your fantasy team. And what would you think of him?
No, I still feel the same way. Like it's Bob Baffert. The horse is getting better with every start.
Yeah.
I think there's a decent amount to like as far as the underneath horse. I don't think if he goes and wins on in the Derby, I'll be shocked. I'm not going to pick him to win.
Yeah, but I guess what I'm saying is like I think you do know who Patente is, right? Like,
he's not sexy. Let's put it that way. Like, he's not a horse that I'm excited to play if I did play him. Okay, that's fair, right? Like to me, if you play Chief Wallaby, there's a vast difference between playing Chief Wallaby and Patente, right? Because with Chief Wallaby, you're like, he could, and this is just my opinion, he could be awesome, right?
Yeah.
Patente, while it's nice to have the slow and steady rise, or you know what I mean? Each race is better than the last. There's also something very unsexy about it where you're like, I don't know,
Yeah. Well, I also kind of look at it and go, do I think he would have Patente? Do I think he would have won the Bluegrass? No. Florida Derby? No. Louisiana Derby? Maybe. Maybe. Arkansas Derby? No. And that's where it's like, man, I don't know. I just can't see it with him.
No, you're right. I mean, for him to win the race would be insane. It would be Medina Spirit, right? Kind of thing where you're just like, what?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So that's a look, guys. Well, obviously this is just a look at the pace. We'll have more as the race gets closer as far as when post positions get drawn, long shots we're interested in, trends, all that good stuff. This thing is going to be just so much. It's going to be the most fun 3 weeks lead up that I can remember the Kentucky Derby because of all the different angles that look like they're shaping up here. Will it be Further Ado? Will it be Renegade? Will it be Commandment? Or none of them? We'll find out here in a few weeks. But there's a look at our prediction, I guess you could call it, of the pace analysis. Yeah, that's the problem, Davey. It's not that and that's where I'm at with him too. It's like, it's not that you're like, oh, that horse is trash, but you're also like, I like that one better. I like that one better. I like that one better. And then you get down the list and you're at 6 or 7. And then you're like, yeah, no.
I just think if he was on John and Ryan's team, your text would be like, I told you he sucked. And you would never think about him again.
But I don't think he sucked in the race. That's the thing.
After you did right after.
Well, right after I did, of course, because I am biased after the race. I'm like, motherfucker. I'm like, he sucks. And then it was funny because your messages, you were so mad at him. And I was sitting there like, I thought he ran pretty well for him. For him, like, I don't think he ran great, but for him, I thought he did. But if you remember, I texted you right after a while, I was like, I watched it back. That was a gutty. Give me some credit. I was like, that was a pretty gutty effort by him, more than I gave him credit for. But
true,
I think we're all that. I mean, at least I am. I know I am. After a horse you liked, doesn't fire, you're like, damn it.
I mean, he's the best Baffert, without any question.
It's a pretty low bar, though.
It is, and. We're not talking about crude velocity yet because that's probably a Preakness. Maybe we'll see. But he's a good Baffert. He's running on a schedule. He's not missing races and works. Like, that's ahead of 90% of what he has already. So I think, again, like if he skipped the Derby and waited for the Preakness, I actually think he'd be really live. I just don't think he's good enough to win the Derby specifically.
Well, you look at that list of horses, that I'm, like, and that was a big part of it, right? When I say speed was always so good, and it's like, well, American Pharoah and even Dortmund that year, but then also Justify, of course, and Authentic and a Medina Spirit. It's like those were all these really fast speed horses of his, and say whatever you want about the other stuff, but like now it doesn't happen. So
yeah. No, well, and even in the Santa Anita Derby, like, I don't know, just like old Baffert, it's like, he may have won with that horse, and now it's like, he faded, I don't know. It's weird.
What do you think? What's more likely to happen? One of these horses wins 2 legs, or we have 3 different winners of the Triple Crown?
Feels like 3 different winners to me.
Definitely, I think so.
Yeah, it does.
I mean, well, shit. We know that there's a handful of horses in here that you wouldn't be shocked don't run the Preakness if they won that's the other part to it.
Could
we saw it last year?
If I said I think it's up to maybe half of them, would that be crazy to say?
That might be a little high, but yeah. I mean, shit, if somehow Chief Wallaby won, he ain't running. We know that.
I think now that Mott did that, I think other trainers will follow.
It set a little bit of a precedent for sure.
Because like Brad Cox, I can't see him doing it.
Yeah, no.
Because
even like, let's assume it's let's assume like Renegade wins or even Further Ado wins. They'll definitely go off the favorite if they run in the race. But gosh, I mean, I almost think with both of those horses that I wouldn't like. Can they make it the 3 legs? That's the thing too.
I don't know.
I don't know. So I think I'd definitely lean more towards 3 different. I mean, than having 2 of 3 of the same horse. So.
Also, I know this sounds strange because it's only 5 weeks apart from the Derby and the Belmont. I feel like this is a crop that so much is going to change just in that time period because they're so lightly raced, right?
Oh yeah.
That like 5 weeks from the Derby, could emerging market be ready for it? Yeah. Like what if he runs like a great 3rd or 4th in the Derby, and of course they'll rest him for the Belmont, obviously. I mean, he may come into that race breathing fire in a totally different horse than he did coming into the Derby. So I think it's crazy.
Well, the other thing too is think about this. Like, imagine there was no Derby fever, and they said, you know what, we're going to run the Pat Day Mile with him, and then we're going to the Preakness. Let's just say that's what they did. You'd be like, he might be like the most scary, like as far as scary thing for the Derby winner of like that would be a very scary situation. So like he could be like, but they're choosing to go that route, which says a lot about what they think of his chances as well. I don't know. I do think he is he's growing on me. I just don't know that it might just feels like it's just too much too soon with him. But shit, that we've seen that trend as it's certainly trending in the direction of that doesn't matter as much.
Yeah. I think the lightly race thing is it's dated obviously now because this is how they do things, how the trainers do things. Yeah, I'm with you. And this is a comment that I think is interesting. The Preakness isn't even at Pimlico this year, so I could care less. I was the commenter there. I think it may not be that good of a Preakness. I think that plays a part in it. I really do.
Yeah, people are like, I'm not, I don't want to run there anyways.
There's gonna be 4,000 people there. They're limiting the attendance, and it's just kind of like feels like a COVID thing, you know what I mean? I don't know.
And then I mean, don't get me wrong, love me some Saratoga Belmont, but that's different as well, So the whole Triple Crown in itself, is kind of like what's the desire to run in all 3 legs,
Yeah, no, I love Saratoga. It is my favorite place, but the Belmont, belongs at Belmont Park. I've enjoyed the hell out of it, but it belongs at Belmont
Last year, though, right? Last year.
Last year.
So,
Yep. It belongs at Belmont, belongs at a mile and a half. So
we get it back next year in a brand new place. So, and the Belmont or in the Breeders' Cup as well. So that'll be that place. Cannot wait for that place to come out. And hey, good news! You get your favorite analyst to start talking about Belmont here pretty soon. New analyst. What's his name? The Bullfrog. So you've got him coming as well. So that'll be exciting for you personally.
I am very excited. Yes.
All right, time for rapid fire, guys. We're gonna go through this pretty quick, as it is. We've gone through a lot already, but rapid fire is gonna be presented by the Kentucky Derby Kentucky Oaks Betting Bible. Those are again available over at racingdudes.com. It's the best betting Bible we do every single year. It's massive. It has everything you need to hopefully cash some tickets on Friday and Saturday at the Oaks and Derby days. And now that it's in the new format on the dashboard, everything's updated, immediately. So if there's a scratch that morning, there's a scratch as they're getting closer to the gate, we'll have that updated. And you can see those updates from the tickets and the bets and all that stuff. So over at racingdudes.com, if you're looking to, even if you're not like, you handicap yourself, it's a good resource to have just to get a little more opinions. John White obviously has his input as well. Ours, everything like that at racingdudes.com. All right, Halterman, let's go to Friday here at Keeneland. Keeneland's back and running, and it's been awesome. Maker's Mark Mile. This race, holy shit, is this race good? Oh my gosh. Grade 1, 650K, going 1 mile on the turf. Tomorrow, race 9. Dude, you almost got a little bit of a rematch here in the Breeders' Cup mile. You've got the boy Notable Speech, who just looked so. I went back and watched that replay just because I would look for any excuse to watch it. You're like, holy shit, that race was awesome. And then Rhetorical, who came to that race pretty good and ran well, just kind of got tired late, but that's 7-2. But Deterministic, that's a damn good horse making his return here at Keeneland. This is just an awesome race, dude.
Yeah, I've been waiting for Deterministic to come back. I've heard nothing but good things. I thought he was absolutely fantastic last year. I've been waiting, ready to bet him. And then Notable Speech showed up, and I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to take Notable Speech on top. He's just a little bit better, I think, than this group. It's not a slam dunk, but I do think he's a little bit better. 2 really good races here in the United States last year. The one race he lost was 2 years ago at the Breeders' Cup, and he ran okay. He just got beat that day, and I think he's going to show up here and be awfully, awfully tough. So I have Notable Speech on top. I think, and I want your opinion on this, I think this is the best race we've had all year.
On paper, I 1000% agree.
Yes.
I don't know how it's not that close, to be quite honest. It's so good. You've got, Deterministic, whatever reason, I don't think they've really ever said why he was off, but that's certainly a Breeders' Cup horse. And then obviously Notable Speech and Rhetorical, very good, 2 very good horses. And you got horses like, One Stripe, who finished second in the Pegasus. You've got, what's the horse? Zulu Kingdom, who I thought was retired, but he's back. Who's been very good. Shit, he's won 6 of 8 starts.
Yeah.
So listen, it's a nice race, kind of top to bottom. And listen, I'll do it. I'm totally with you. I love Notable Speech. Like, he should probably win. He should. His odds will be crazy low. Give me Deterministic. This is a horse that shit, he hasn't done, since he's gone to a mile, or we went back up to a mile, and with Carmouche being aboard, he's just been awesome. And dude, when we saw him live in person multiple times, that last race was really good. The mile is where he wants to be. And you go back and you look at Notable Speech last year, it took him a few starts to get into form. By the end of the year, he was spectacular, but earlier in the year, again, maybe, who knows, he was facing tougher talent than this race, whatever. I get it. But it felt like it took him a few starts to get going. So I'm going to take that angle of and I get Deterministic is coming off but he's ran well off the layoff. So give me Deterministic if I can get anywhere in that 5-1 price. So I like it.
Miguel Clement read a big article when he was talking about when they got Far Bridge back going, and he was talking about can't remember that filly that didn't run very good on the Florida Derby day. And then they talked about Deterministic, and he's like, yeah, that's the one that that I like the most. So Yeah,
He
I think
he raved about quotes I saw. He would stop talking about
yeah,
he's already got the plans. He's
yeah,
already got the map laid out for how to get him to the Breeders' Cup.
yep,
The way, yeah, he's been raving about him. Now,
yep,
obviously, he's got to face the Beast notable speech,
yeah.
which isn't ideal. But Rhetorical should run well too. I read, going to had a couple choices there and went with a Rhetorical. I think that horse is a pretty
Mm-hmm.
damn good horse himself. So this will
Yep.
be a hell of a race, dude.
Yep.
Really, really, really good race, and it's Friday. Friday racing at Keeneland. You get this grade 1, and you get to see notable speech and some of those beasts. So.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to Saturday at Keeneland, the Ginny Wiley Stakes. Another good one here. Race 9, grade 1, 650, 1 mile, mile 16 on the turf for fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and up. Field of 10. You got 5-2 on Lush Lips, 7-2 on Suggesta. You got 4-1 on Destino de Oro. Kind of all over the place after that. Dynamic pricing at 6-1. Where are you going?
Hard for me to go against Lush Lips. That is just my girl. 3 really nice wins in a row. I thought the race last time out was a very good starting off point for her. First time out as a 4-year-old. Didn't face a ton in that spot, but beat him like a good horse should beat him. And, kind of it was a measured win and never really in doubt once she got going that she was going to get there. I think she moves off that race and runs even better. I thought the best race of her season, or her career, I should say, came here at Keeneland 3 races back. So Lush Lips, very, very good horse and easy pick for me.
Yeah, it kind of feels like, Walsh has got this horse running so just better than ever. It's rattled off 4 of the last 5 wins. That second was in the grade 1, Del Mar Oaks, going mile 8. This is a horse that's rattled off 3 in a row with T-Gap aboard 2. 1 at Keeneland, like you mentioned, loves the distance right up. I just, the horse already has a freshening up after the layoff where she won. I think she's going to fire a big race. And the biggest thing too is my fantasy partner, Kevin. That's my nickname with him in my phone. He calls me Lush Lips. So I've got to pick the horse because of that as well.
Yep. I can believe that.
Yep. So for Kevin, I'm going Lush Lips as well. All right, let's go to the Lexington race 10. This is officially, we can finally, even though there's no implications for the Kentucky Derby, we can officially say after this that the Derby prep season is over. 20 points to the winner, 10, 6, 4, and 2. The Lexington's is grade 3, 400K, mile 16th for 3-year-olds. And it's an interesting race when Confessional is your second choice at 7-2. 2 out of the Brad Cox barn. Seems like one of them is definitely going to win. Ezum, who just won by the length of the stretch, literally last out for Brad Cox, gets Flavian. The other one's Irad. What are you going?
All right. Well, I'm going to pick the number 9, Izum. But I will say this. If the horse starts to get crushed at the window and he's below, let's say 7-5, I kind of want to pivot and go to the number 7, The Hell We Did, and bet that horse to win. So it's kind of odds related. I don't want to take Izum is a very likely winner, but I don't want to take just an incredibly short price because the number 7, The Hell We Did, I think is a very logical alternative if you don't want to bet a short price here. But again, I'm also worried about what he's going to be odds wise. I want 5-6 to 1 on him. It might be lower than that. So I'm picking the 9. That's the pick. I may pivot to the 7 if the odds kind of get too low on the 9.
I keep thinking that this is going to end up being some weird ass result,
Okay.
And listen, I'm with you. I picked Ezum to win. I can't even dream up a world where I want to pick Confessional to win. Let's leave it at that because that horse is trash. But he's 7-2. Ezum his first start lost, I should say, by 25 links. His second start, he wins by 20 links.
Right.
What? Okay. That's anything but a sure shot if I've ever heard one. Now, that race was wow. The horse was bet in that last race like he was going to run like that. But it was also at Colonial Downs, and, he got a 38 buyer in the debut. My point is, if he doesn't fire, if he's not that good, if that last race was just got the lead and never looked back, I mean, just take a price here. Really, I think the 1 is interesting at a price. I think your horse there, although I don't think you're going to get the 8-1, I think
No.
is interesting because of that flashy start. Again, I don't want anything to do with this race. I don't. I just because Eason should win. I mean, based on like that. Listen, 99 out of 99, 100, actually 120 times out of 100, Eason wins with that last performance, right? There's no doubt.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he's going to do that again. If he does that again, he might win the Preakness. So I don't know.
I'm not going to go that far. Let's not forget it was at Colonial, right? So, he didn't do it at an actual like track. So I'm not going to go as far as say he's going to win the Preakness. That's for sure. But
I mean, I'm saying if he does it here, if he wins by 20 at Keeneland in this race.
Okay, if he wins by 20 at Keeneland, yeah. Okay, I thought you meant like just run the same type of race.
No, if he wins, if he dominate an effort again.
Yeah.
Because let's be fair.
Yeah.
You tell me confessionals, who got second in that race? Who got second?
Grittiness. Are you talking about the Virginia Derby?
Nahabi and Sir George finished second and third behind him that day. Easem.
Yeah.
I mean, that confessional is probably as good as a horse. I mean,
who?
confessional. I don't know. Confessional runs in spots. I don't know. He's got a good running line because of the races he's ran in, but nearly waxed him and nearly sucked. I don't know. I don't like this horse.
Hey, one thing and Kevin probably lied to me, but I do want to mention it real quick about nearly. There's Pletcher told, I don't know, grinning, I guess. I don't know. Again, Kevin may be lying that nearly's going to run if he gets in the Derby.
I mean, that's insane.
That could set up the pace at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he just needed that last race, Halterman. So watch out.
Yeah. Don't say that.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right, let's go to Oaklawn for the Count Fleet and, of course, the Apple Blossom Race 8, the Count Fleet Handicap Grade 3, 500K, 6 furlongs, 4-year-olds and up, field of 8. You've got our boy Booth at 7-2, Maximum Bourbon at 3-1, 2-1 on Roll On Big Joe. Where are you going?
I never pick against Roll On Big Joe. And I never pick against Tiana Twist when Roll On Big Joe isn't entered. So I'm going Roll On Big Joe over Tiana Twist here, straight exacta.
Ooh, I like it. I'll go with the latter one there. I'll go with the 7 Tiana Twist. He's got him running so good right now. In those last 2 races, he's getting better with every start, it feels like. And the pace of this race looks like it's going to be lightning, right? Doesn't it? Like, doesn't it seem like it's every horse wants to go to the lead?
Mm-hmm.
Tiana Twist doesn't want to go to the lead. I know that much. He should be rolling late. I think Rolling Big Joe, like, look at those last couple efforts.
Yeah.
He beat Tiana Twist in the King Cotton. I think Tiana Twist might get the best of him here, but hey, we'll see what happens. There's no way we get 6-1 on that horse, right?
Mm-hmm. I don't think so. No, he should be the second choice in my opinion.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought too. But if he's 6-1, I will definitely be pounding that. All right, let's go to the main event. The Apple Blossom Handicap Grade 1, 1.25 million, mile 16, fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and up. Cassie's trying it again with nitrogen. Is it the price or the purse? Or does he really think that that last race was just a fluke and, the slop, she didn't like it? Give it another shot. Your 9-5 favorite. Do you have it in you to try it one more time with her?
Yeah, I do. I really think it was just kind of a bounce off of a big effort off the layoff. I think she'll run better here. I will be honest. I looked pretty hard for somebody else because if anybody here was let's just say good or decent or whatever, I may have went another direction, but I just think she can handle this group specifically. I would look out for the number 7, 5G. I think at 10-1, that horse makes a lot of sense, but I just think nitrogen's a little bit better than this group. So I went with her once again here. I think this is a really pivotal race. I think she's got to win. This is not that tough of a race. If she's going to be a really good dirt horse, I think she's got to win here. If she doesn't, I think go back to turf is what I would try to do with her.
Yeah, I kind of thought they would last time, but I get, you have the excuse built in with the track. And, she did run well on it that day we were there. But again, that was like 3 horses in the field, and it's hard to really figure out what the wonder again was, right? Yeah, listen, I'm going to try to beat her. I'm going to try to beat her with the horse that beat her last time, and that's 2 Majestic Oops. Again, another situation where it kind of feels like they've got the horse running as good as ever. And that certainly seems the case with her here. She's ran well at Oaklawn. She's finished top 2, 6 of 8 starts. She's finished top 2 at the distance, 5 of 7 starts. In that last race, I get that the surface, maybe not, if Nitrogen didn't like it, but those 2, she ran right by Nitrogen that day. I mean, Nitrogen got the jump on her, and she still came right by her and really held her off quite nicely. So I'm going to take the now horse and beat her last time. I think she'll do it again here. Hopefully we get a similar price there at the morning line. Give me the 2 Majestic Oops. What do you think of that one? Do you think that was a fluke? Do you think that was a situation of the race aided her, or the track aided her, kind of like similar to Nitrogen not liking it?
When the Oaklawn Park track is sloppy, it does play a little bit funky, so it's hard to know. I think you're going to get your answer Saturday. It probably did aid her a little bit, but the other part of it is, it's like, there is a big part of you that goes, is Nitrogen really that good?
Yeah, no,
on the dirt. I don't know.
Majestic Oops has ran very well against some good horses in her past. Now, that was kind of her first really breakthrough race against a quote unquote good horse. Yep. But he's got it running well. Dan Ward for sure right now. Shoddy wants to know, side comment, now that we're over with rapid fire, what are your thoughts on the Oaklawn news of them considering changing their meet and stake schedule, particularly the Arkansas Derby being, I guess they said 3 weeks out of the Kentucky Derby?
I don't know. It's kind of strange, because they moved the Arkansas Derby because it was 3 weeks before the Kentucky Derby, and the thought process was trainers didn't want to do that. They didn't want to run 3 weeks later after running the Arkansas Derby. So that's why they moved it back. So I'm a little surprised. I think Oaklawn has a weird kind of issue, because it's a traditional place. It reminds me of Saratoga a lot, where it's like, we expect certain races on certain weekends because that's the way they've always done it. And the Arkansas Derby, I hate where it's at right now, right? The Rebel, I despise where it's at right now. So they're talking about, hey, move the Rebel back to its traditional weekend. Great. Love that. But that means you're going to have to move the Arkansas Derby back to its traditional weekend. And I like it. Like, I feel like as soon as the show ends, we should be getting in the car and going to Oaklawn. It feels like this is Arkansas Derby weekend, right? It still feels like that to me. But the problem is, I don't know how many horses they're going to track. The last time they ran it 3 weeks out, they had 6 horses in the race. So I don't know how that's going to work. I don't know.
And I guess the bigger thing is, like, because the kind of the overall story of it was like, hey, even Oaklawn doesn't have the ability to run as many days. And I mean, that was like the part B of it, where it was like, yeah, we want to move some of the stakes, but the fact of like kind of changing the schedule in general to running less days because they don't have which says a lot, really, because Oaklawn has kind of been immune to any of that as of late. So what'd you kind of make of that as well?
Not good. I think they pretty much just admitted to everybody that, hey, if you want 12 horse fields, we're going to have to run 3 days a week. And I think that's not great, but again, I do think if they're going to give us great cards with full fields and they're going to run longer period of time and just run Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'm kind of for that. I think that's kind of what makes Oaklawn what it is. This comment here, they moved a couple things at Saratoga this year. Not exactly what I'm talking about. They're never like, imagine the Travers isn't the last Saturday before Labor Day. Imagine it's August 2nd or something like that. That's kind of the equivalent of like moving the Arkansas Derby and the Rebel around. I'm not talking about each separate Oaklawn race, stakes race, but those 2 days at Oaklawn were the equivalent to me of the Whitney Day and the Travers Day at Saratoga. So when it moved, again, it's like if you move, okay, say you move the Smarty Jones, not that big a deal, but the Rebel and the Arkansas Derby are huge days, and that it's still like this comment right here. My parents are still mad the Rebel isn't on St. Patrick's Day weekend. That's an Arkansas person with the comment there, Shoddy, and her parents are Arkansas people. It is tradition. It is what you do on St. Patrick's Day weekend. You go to the Rebel.
Right.
I've hated it ever since they've changed it. And look, like I just said, though, it's probably helped with getting legitimate Derby contenders, which is the goal. But it's just like, I hate this. I don't want
the Rebel in February and the Arkansas Derby in March is always, it's ever since it's just like doesn't feel right. It's like sacrilegious, It's just like I hate it. I totally hate it.
Hate it.
I will say this, like, and I think it's, and this is a bigger subject, but like way bigger subject, but like I think it's what racing has to do right now is condense. And I think condensing horse racing will make it better than it is. I think it's like too many chefs in the kitchen and we don't have anywhere to, no one knows what to do and nowhere, like, let's condense it. Let's have less tracks running more days, or less tracks running the 4 days, and every race is just really good betting races top to bottom. Like everyone wants, like, we got to be running all the time. We got to run every day of the week. It's like, not really.
Yeah.
Or we just have a build up to the 3 big days of each week. Yeah. I think it's a necessary thing that needs to happen right now in horse racing.
Yeah. It feels like, just from our business, from a business standpoint, it just feels like Monday through Thursday now, there's just not a lot of going on. Right. And there never was, like Monday through Thursday is never your days where you're busy. Right. But in the past, it felt like it was busier, where now it's almost like it's kind of a Friday through Sunday thing almost. Yep. And I think that's what Oaklawn kind of feels as well. They probably analyze their Thursday business. This is all money. Every decision they're making is about money, right? Which it should be, their business. And they probably looked at it and said, man, we'd be better off starting in November after Black Friday and just running those 3 days versus running that 4th day. And so, that's the decision they went with. But again, the Arkansas Derby thing is very interesting, because I don't think moving it 3 weeks before the Arkansas Derby or before the Kentucky Derby is going to be great for the field sizes of that race. I just don't.
Kevin, that's a great point. Like in the summer, like seeing Monmouth, Saratoga, Colonial, and Ellis all running the same time, same divisions, and then you're having, and that's an example, but you're having multiple tracks competing for the same horses, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh well, the fields are diminished, and you have less running in each race instead of being like, all right. And again, I get it. It's not as black and white as I'm making it sound to be, because like there's people involved, there's tracks, there's trainers, there's all of it, right? But I think from a bigger picture, there's this history shows that it's true. Like having too much of that, of one thing, having too many teams, having too many people, whatever, it's a recipe for disaster. We don't have a good enough product in horse racing anymore to have it as many days of the week as we can and have as many races as we can. And, horses are running fewer than they've ever ran now. We need to have less days, less tracks, bigger races when they run. That's my opinion. But what do I know?
No, I think you're right. It all comes back to that problem, though, that, okay, I'm just going to put this back up here for the sake of the talking point. Mama, Saratoga, Colonial, Ellis. Okay, well, Colonial and Ellis, they're ran by the same people. Saratoga's ran by something different. Monmouth's ran by something different. It would be like, asking 3 different businesses that are all fighting for the same customers, hey, you guys need to get along. It's never going to happen, right?
Yeah.
Never. Like, imagine 2 businesses like us that you don't like. Okay. And I think I'm not even going to say their names, because I don't even want people to know they exist. Right. Because I don't like them that much. And you call a meeting or something and you go, okay, you three need to get in a room and figure this out. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. That's not going to happen. And we're talking about a minor scale. That's not going to happen. I can't imagine. It's not going to happen on a major scale either. So what has to happen is you have to those tracks have to go out of business basically.
Yeah,
before they're going to
that's kind of
stop.
what I was gonna say. Yeah, it almost feels like before it gets done the way it should be or whatever, it's got to crash and burn first.
Exactly. I mean, and that's the only. I mean, I'm not trying to be, gloom and doom here. I'm not. That is the reality. They're going to fight until they go out of business, and if they don't go out of business, they will continue to fight. And so, I think that problem is not going to get solved. And then, towards the end of Saratoga, here comes Kentucky Downs with $200,000 in an allowance race or whatever, right? And it's like, why are there only 6 horses in the turf races this last week? Well, they're all running down there.
Yeah,
they all try to cannibalize each other.
Yeah,
and
if you said, all right, well, they're running that race, so let's build up for the next weekend, when they're not, and but no one thinks that way. It's like they go to compete with them. And listen, there's certain like the Naira circuit that they just invested in however millions of billion, whatever that cost to build that. They're not going anywhere. Kentucky racing's not going anywhere. Oaklawn, is not going anywhere. So there's certain circuits that aren't going anywhere. Gulfstream depends if they get what they figure out there, but they've definitely got the product, right?
Yeah, the model's there. Yeah.
And so we'll see what happens in California. Maybe Del Mar is the only one that ends up. But my point is, I don't view it as some of these tracks are fine. It's just more of like these smaller tracks that cannibalize enough of the bigger, like Kentucky Downs, I don't think would go anywhere, but it is a weird enough event where there needs to be some sort of discussion on how you operate that with some of the other tracks running at the same time.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, with it's just like, it's kind of its own thing. It's 5 days, whatever. But yeah, I mean, the unfortunate part of it is, like you said, none of this is going to move quickly or easily. And so it's going to take a while before it all gets lined out, if it ever does. Let's be clear. We could be 70 years old having this show 30 years from now, and it might be the same kind of stuff, just different names of tracks, that we're talking about. But, but expansion is not going to happen, and it hasn't happened for a long time in racing, and it's not going to happen. It's going to contract and continue to contract. And, not having a horse racing channel is another thing that it's like, we haven't even talked about that, but it's like, that's showing, hey, here's a company that bought it that's big into gambling, and they're not, the company's struggling, and that's the big part of it, but they didn't see it as a big future for them, so.
Yeah. All right, that's gonna do it for us, guys. Not to end on that, but but you're.
Is there anything happy before we go? Hold on.
Yeah, appreciate the doom and gloom, but no, I mean, listen, there's, like I said, and that's the thing. Like you have hope because you get to an event like the Kentucky Derby and you see everybody talking about it, and it gives you sort of a sense of like, man, I wish it was like this all the time because everybody cares about the Kentucky Derby. Everybody, you go around like. I was telling Halterman the other day, I saw this. I think it was like a TikTok or something where they were doing this fun like. There's 10 sporting events and, like the Super Bowl, the Masters, the World Series, like the college football playoffs, like whatever. Kentucky Derby was one of them. And gosh, there's so many people, whether it been in the video or in the comments, were like, yeah, Derby, Masters, Super Bowl or whatever. Like Derby was included in a lot of like people love the Derby. It's just, that it ends after it ends after that.
Well, for the general public, for sure, it does, but I'll say this. I know that man like sound like gloom and doom or whatever. I don't really think that way anymore. I think we'll be fine. I think racing fans and people that work in racing, and I would throw myself in there until, a couple of years ago, I think change always scares us and it's going to end. It's all over. when you really sit down and think of all the money that's filtered through the sport, forget about the Derby, which is incredible, like I said, a monumental affair. When you think of all the money filtering through the sport, it's not going anywhere. Okay. It's not.
Yeah. Whenever I always go back to the idea of like, oh, that horse just sold yesterday for $2 million. Oh, okay. Well, obviously those people have a lot more money than I do. They're not going to be investing in this kind of money if they're not believing that the future of it, whatever you want to believe, as far as you wish they had more, less in the breeding game versus, whatever. But like, that's a different story. But point is, there's so much money from the top level, right? The very top heavy, I guess I should say, is vesting heavily. I feel like, and whether it be tracks, industry, owners, that kind of thing, breeders, like that part feels like the money's going crazy.
And I'll end kind of this thing with my hottest take of it all. You don't really want the general public following the sport day in and day out.
That might be why it's still going.
If my neighbor followed it day in and day out and saw a horse break down, she'd be calling PETA. Like it day in and day out, the meat and potatoes of horse racing is not a beautiful, majestic thing. It's just not. So let the general public come around for those big days. We'll catch a few strays that really liked it. Hey, you want to get really involved in it? Come on. And we'll try to keep them. The people that live in my neighborhood, just let them watch the Derby. And that's kind of it. And if they want to get into betting, call me. If not, we'll talk about it next year. And
yeah,
it's not, I don't think it's for mainstream exposure. You think about when little controversies happen, how people go nuts and like, the regular sports. If it's being consumed by a ton of mainstream people and that kind of stuff happens, and it's unavoidable, and they've done a good job of kind of mitigating the problem, but it's still there and it's still going to happen and people are going to see it. I don't think you really want that. And I used to be the complete opposite. Get as many people as you can, but the longer you get into it, it's like you need people to really understand what's happening. You don't need a lot of people that don't.
Yeah. No,
I don't know. Maybe I'm way off, but that's kind of, I don't know.
Well, that period of time that whenever was a couple years ago, a couple summers ago, when Saratoga was having the issues, and it was always when we were there, and it was like, gosh, I don't know if I want to continue to do this.
So here was the thing.
There you go. I just right on cue. Exactly.
We were ready to just quit almost. I mean, it wasn't to that extreme, but it was like, I don't care about this. This is terrible.
That was me and Halterman. That after the second time, which one was second? Was it New York? Was it?
Yeah, New York Thunder.
I think it was.
We were there. We were there for both of them.
We were there for both, but which one was the second one? Was it New York Thunder?
I think it was.
Whichever was second. It was like we got back to our room and we're like, man, we just like, I don't know, man. This is getting bad. Like this is just hard to watch. Like,
but
so yeah, I mean, and that's two guys that are just completely obsessed with it. So
well, but to my point, it's like in our bubble, it was the end of the world, and I'm not saying it should have been. I mean, it was terrible. It was terrible. It was not fun to be at Saratoga, and that's the funnest place in the world. And it wasn't. It was just like, this is awful. I don't want to be here. But my neighbor didn't see that, right?
Right.
But again, if like the whole world, meaning a big sports bubble saw it, that could have been the end of it. I swear, and I mean that. That could have been the end of it.
Yeah. But, I mean, if that was like imagine if that was the Kentucky Derby.
Well, when 8 Bells broke down on the Kentucky Derby, I mean, that was a major, major thing. And, that was back when people could handle stories like that a little bit better. That people can't, if it happened now, I don't know what would happen. I don't know. People can't handle that kind of stuff anymore. And maybe that's a good thing, by the way. I'm not saying that's negative, but
so turning the subject a little more positive, going back to what I was saying earlier, I don't have it in front of me, but just think of all the major sports. If you had to pick 3, had to keep 3 of them, which 3 would you keep? So like out of all the, and like Stanley Cup playoffs, World Series, Super Bowl, let's just say the Final Four, those things, Kentucky Derby. If you had to keep 3, and the Masters, we'll throw that in there, which 3 would you keep?
Yeah, I would keep the Kentucky Derby. I would definitely keep the Stanley Cup playoffs. That's my favorite. And then I would keep the Super Bowl because that's like a national holiday.
Right. It's the closest. I would do the two you said, Super Bowl and Derby, and then I think I would do the Masters. I love the
Yeah.
Masters, so
Yeah.
I've been looking. I mean, Masters going right now, so it's can't leave off the Derby. I think you can throw out the World Series. I think you can throw out uh. So yeah, I mean, I love the Stanley Cup playoffs too, but I get why you live and die by that. So
Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, so yeah, I think it's something fun to think about for you guys in the chat. But that's gonna do it for us. I think we've done enough here.
Yeah.
We've covered all aspects of life and racing, I feel like. And big weekend ahead. If you want to go to the website at racingdudes.com, we appreciate it, and check out not just the Kentucky Derby content, which obviously I know is the main focus, but you got big racing happening at Keeneland and Oaklawn Park. We'll have free picks available for everyday racing at those tracks, as well as every track running. We have premium picks. So if, again, guys, I can't stress this enough. Go buy a premium subscription if you're somewhat interested in the Kentucky Derby, because you can get that for free, the betting Bible for free as a premium subscriber. And if you wait just a couple more days, let me look at the calendar here. Yeah, because so it's a 30-day running. So you'll almost be, actually, you know what? Tomorrow, if you buy it tomorrow, you'll get in the 30 days for the Preakness, right?
Yep.
So if you got that, you would get the Preakness betting Bible and the Kentucky Derby and Oaks betting Bible for free as a premium subscriber. So you're literally saving money if you have any intentions of buying either one of those betting Bibles. So, and you get premium picks throughout the process as well. We're on Twitter at racing_dudes, Instagram, and Facebook. Let's see, Derby, Masters, Stanley Cup, Rob says.
Yep.
Shoddy says you cannot leave off the Derby. Shoddy, what were the other two, though?
Yeah.
Pedlo, I'm sorry. Stanley Cup, NCAA tourney. Did he say that's only two?
That's two. So
keep going. Yeah.
I just don't.
He's
following
close.
directions very tough.
Yeah, I actually told that story the other day to some friends over in our neighborhood. They were up in the attic. We were over there like hanging out, and they were up in the attic doing something. I was like, dude, my buddy fell through a roof one time in his garage.
Well, it's funny. The other day I rolled my ankle. I was walking and about fell, and I thought, man, I probably need to get this ankle looked at, because that's what started. Like, that's why I fell through. I rolled my ankle on the the tiny little where you walk, and couldn't. I fell through because I rolled it. So I couldn't. It's not like I just walked through the ceiling. Like I rolled my ankle.
Yeah, well, it's like it's just crazy. You get old, man. It's like the little shit. It's like the littlest thing. You're like, oh shit, I just rolled my ankle. That hurt.
Yeah, it definitely it's starting to get to the age where it's like, yeah, probably just don't do that kind of stuff. Even though you're more than capable, something might happen. So
well, we're in a very weird time of our lives where it's like we feel like we can do it.
Yep.
Like your body still, or your mind still says, I mean, shit, I feel like I'm 20, 25.
Mm-hmm.
And then you do it and you're like, oh shit, no, I'm not,
Yep.
So it's like, we're not to that age yet. We're like, I'm 60. I'm not even trying it. Right. So you still think you can do it until you can't.
And you can, but you like physically you can go up I can go up there and do it again, but it's like, yeah, but unexpected things start to happen. It's like, well, I'd never in a billion years, I think I'd roll my ankle, but I have a weak ankle from basketball, and literally I'll just be walking and roll it every once in a while. So
we are washed up, Kevin. That is for sure.
Yep.
Listen, you'll get there one day, buddy. You'll get there.
It feels it sometimes.
Sure. Certain days you feel great. Other days you feel like you're 40. So, Dudes Who Bet Sports, if you haven't checked them out, Altsprin and his dad, I'm sure to go over all things racing, as well as I'm imagining a little bit on the March Madness wrapping up, I would say, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so
we talked a little of that. We talked some Derby, and then we talked. He's an NBA expert. My God, he was talking about the NBA, going crazy on it. So we talked about it for a little bit as well.
Does he? Maybe you want people to listen, but does he think? What's he think? Can the Thunder beat the Spurs in the Western Finals if that gets to that?
Yeah, he thinks they will. He's a little scared of them, but he thinks they will. He just is in love with Shea. He thinks Shea is having a season just as good as like a Michael Jordan. He thinks he's just been amazing. But that is the one team he's worried about for sure.
They seem to be the kryptonite,
Yeah.
But
he doesn't seem to be worried about anybody in the East. If they get there, he thinks they're going to win. But the Spurs, that is a very much he's worried about them.
You know what? Early in the season, like, if we can get Jalen Williams to actually be healthy and play, like we've had a lot of guys like that have just not played. Mm-hmm. So if you can actually get the Spurs at a somewhat full strength, yeah, I think we could probably. But hey, the Spurs they're legit, man. And Wemby's insane. Like, I mean, he's just an alien, I think. The Magic Mike show you guys did. I'm guessing Keeneland this weekend, right?
Yes, we did. Had a good time there. Mike picked Enforced Agenda, the 4-horse, to win the Lexington. So just throw that out there.
Way to spoil it. I mean, shit. All right.
Well, I mean, I don't.
Actually, you know what? Let people be surprised. Let people go and listen to Halterman's reaction to that. How about that? That's probably worth.
I try not to. I've been burned before, but I thought that's kind of weird.
Yeah. I think I told you this story, but I'm sure some of our people will enjoy it. Kevin specifically. I about got in a fight at flag football last Friday.
Okay. Tell that. I thought you were going to tell me something else. Tell that story, and then I want to ask you something.
Okay. Yeah. Legit fight. Like fists thrown, like punch, like the whole thing. Long story short, we're winning the game. Game's over. And flag football rules, at least in our league, they do like, because there's like there's no like scoreboard with a clock. So it's like officials and they're kind of guessing how much time's left. And you ask. So now they do a rule, like there's a 2-minute warning. And after that, there's only 4 plays left. That's it. Doesn't matter. Could be the offense runs 2 and then you turn it over and they run 2 more, but there's only 4 plays left in the game. We had just picked the ball off. We're up 1 point. And this was a very heated game, sort of heated on one side. Like for whatever reason, this team hated us. And I told Cohen to kneel on it because he's my quarterback. I was like, because the game's over. We run 4 plays. There's not going to throw the ball to give it back to him. Like that's just common sense. And so I tell Cohen to kneel on it, and this coach on the sideline erupts and starts yelling at me and my players, calling us chicken shits. They're third graders, by the way. Yeah. And I'm like, holy shit, like, is this really happening? Like, this guy is like intensely mad about it. Yeah. And so I'm like, whatever, fine. I'll just run the ball. Make him happy, we'll score or whatever. We run it, and my kid just gets laid out, right? Like, not even, like, they just tackle the kid. It was insane. And it happened right in front of their bench, and so I went running over to my kid. He's crying, rolling around the ground. And not my kid on my team.
Yeah, kid on your team, yeah.
And then the guy ran onto the field and met me. And he's got double fingers out and fuck you, come on, like wanting to fight. And he's cussing at this guy. And the guy got kicked out of the league. I didn't tell you that part, but.
Oh, good.
Yeah, he actually did get kicked out. But like literally like chest to chest, refs were in between us. It was a whole fucking thing. It was, I've never seen anything like it. And yeah, he got kicked out of the league. Yeah, we met Gronk the other day. That's unrelated though. So
that's what I was going to ask you next, but that is just an insane story.
It is crazy. Like it takes all the fun out of it. People that have kids in young sports like that know probably every league's got at least one. It's just insane how kids sports are these days. Like there's always at least one that just takes it like they're, like it's their Super Bowl or whatever. Like it's just, and from this jump, this guy was like, those guys, and we all have met a guy like that or a person like that where they just walk into a room or whatever. And you're just like, why is this person ready to like fight? You know what I mean? Like they just have this, and in the very start, he was chirping at us about stuff. We were like, dude, like it was the first game of the season, game. Like there was like, and he was like chirping at me and at my dad of all people. And he's just on the sideline. And it's like, what is happening right now? Like, why are you so angry? And then, of course, we were actually down like 13-0 pretty quick in the game. And we came back. And I think that probably aided in a little bit of it as well because they were getting pissed. But, yeah, it was just a totally bizarre. I still have not quite figured out how that happened. But
anybody chirping your dad has got to be a real asshole because your dad's like the happiest guy in the world. He's just over there chilling, and I can see him because I've seen him. I mean, it's
And so I'm literally I'm after this all, like I kind of settle, I kind of walk off, and I'm like, I kind of did one of those things like it wasn't a fuck you, it was like you're like fuck, kind of like that as I walk off, and we were walking off the field. And Cohen's like, my son, he's like, Dad, I heard you say the F word for the first time. And I was like, you're right. I'm sorry. That was my first time. Yeah. I'm sorry you heard that. And he was like, that was what he took from it. It was like, I'm sorry. But at least he thinks it's the first time. So,
yeah, that's crazy.
A couple days later, we met Gronk. So
yeah, I was going to ask about that.
Yeah, so we were in Springfield at a Springfield Cardinals game, actually. And with some friends, and one of my friends is he owns like 100 Wendy's, and he's like knows everybody. He's well connected, obviously, and he's like, hey, I got a surprise. Come across. Let's go. I'll take the kids over to cross the street. So I'm like, all right. So I finally get him to tell me what it is, and apparently Gronk was in town. They brought him in for like a steak and shake, Boys and Girls Club fundraiser thing.
Okay.
Literally, I find this out. I'm probably not supposed to know this. He gets paid $90K to come in, do a speech for a couple hours, talk to kids, whatever, do all the stuff. Flew in, flew out that night. Boom, boom, charter jet. And he's like, hey, like I got my guy, like I know, like he's gonna come out and he's gonna take pictures with us and meet the kids and stuff. And so, sure enough, here comes Gronk, and it's like. He's chatting it up, and he somehow word had gotten out, not like out, but like apparently in some sort of the conversation that these kids were Super Bowl. We'd won the Super Bowl before because it was like several, like me or a couple of the other kids that I coached were also there, and he's like, hey, is this the Super Bowl champs or something like that? And then Cohen's like, what? Yeah, I was like, Gronk knows. So yeah, Gronk took a picture with the boys, and it was awesome. Like he was chatting it up, and he was just a good dude, and exactly what you would think Gronk would be like in person. Like it was super cool.
That is really cool to hear. That he didn't just come over there, take a picture, and leave. That's so cool that he kind of played to the kids and was very friendly. That's awesome. So that is well. I wondered what the hell, because I knew you'd went to the Springfield Cardinals game. I think you told me maybe, or I don't know. Anyway, and then next time, like I wake up the next morning, like you guys have a picture with Gronk, and I'm like, was Gronk at the Springfield Cardinals game? And how weird is that? And then I thought I'll ask him on the show. So that is really cool.
Yeah, listen, I was like, so what even makes the story kind of a little more funny was when we got to the game, we got somehow, if anybody's been to like the double AAA type games, like they do all those random bullshit like games between innings and stuff, just like on the field or whatever. And we got asked when we were walking in, me and Cohen, if we wanted to be out on the field, like between this, I think it was like between the 7th and 8th or 6th and 7th inning.
Yeah.
And we were just kind of like, all right, whatever. Cohen's like sweating it the whole game. He's like, how much more time's left? He's very nervous about going on the field and doing this. And we're getting closer, and I'm like, hey, we got to go down to the thing. And my buddy was like, when are you coming back? And I was like, I don't know. And he's like, so I finally got him to tell me, because I was like, listen, we're going out on the field right now.
Yeah.
You need to tell me what's up. Then he told me we're going to meet Gronk. And I was like, all right, never mind.
I don't think we'll participate.
We're going to bail on that one. All right. So we got to go across the street and meet Gronk instead. So it was pretty cool. Yeah, he's huge, but I mean, not that it's surprising, but just, I mean, it's just crazy when you see like an NFL, especially like a tight end, kind of like big dude, just huge, towering guy.
Yeah. No, they're freaks. They're just they're different individuals all the way around. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny too, is like, this is funny too, because so my buddy, who like I said owns a bunch of Wendy's, I think he either did or still does own Wendy's in Boston area. And because he's from that area, and like 5-10 minutes of steady talk about Gronk going on about how I used to go to that Wendy's all the time, and I would get and like tell me, because he's living in Boston, and yeah, so he's a Wendy's guy for sure, So yeah, just a regular dude.
That's amazing.
If you met that guy, I mean, if you didn't know who he was and you just met him, and you'd be like, yeah, it's just like normal dude, like a ball player, or whatever. So.
Yeah, no, he definitely feels that way. Like when you see him, it's like he seems like just a guy, that to just be a normal acting human. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, as soon as he saw him, Cohen's like, that's, he knew he was. Whereas Cooper was like, he goes, who is that? And then the next day I was like, we were like, who'd you meet yesterday? And he kind of looked at me and he's like, who was it again?
Yeah, he's a little too young.
Yeah. So I've like shown him pictures and, of them. I was like, and then of course they're like, I wish Tom Brady was here too. Like, yeah, I bet you do. But yeah, it was cool. Not something I expected to happen on a Tuesday night in Springfield. So
no, I was shocked to see that. Yeah,
yeah, it was not. And then it's like everyone's like, why didn't you have that? I was like, dude, I didn't know it was happening. Right. Like I would have loved to had something ready to get signed or whatever. But I was just like, I was as surprised as they were. So
yeah, that is cool. I'm glad it got set up, and I'm glad he was good enough to do it.
Yep. So one day, not now. I mean, I appreciate it, but right now, one day the boys will like, oh yeah, I met Gronk. Like that's cool. Okay. So
yep.
But all right, guys, it's gonna do it for us. Long show, but it's been fun, guys. And again, tons more Derby content headed your way. Head over to racingdudes.com. We've got everything you want and need as it gets closer to the first Saturday of May. Until next time, I'm Jared Welch. He's Aaron Halterman. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Blinkers Off. Join our horse racing community at racingdudes.com and follow us on Twitter at racing_dudes. Want to make money betting horses? Bet with the Racing Dudes.